Some historians describe Italy as a country that is unified but at the same time divided.
There has always been an idea of Italy. Even the Romans thought of the peninsula as Italia, which is still its modern name. To say Italian culture, there's southern Italian culture, there's northern Italian culture, there's the city versus the countryside. You go someplace like Milan, and it's like you've stepped into a slightly better dressed Manhattan, where you hear a different accent and where the streets are cleaner. The whole idea of unified culture, the one thing that unifies them is a language. Government's a little more like a game there, I think. And a lot of people game the system. Yeah, we game the system here too, to a certain extent, but we're a little more respectful of government, I think. The people in the North think that the people in the South are a drain on the economy and they're terrible, lazy people. That whole idea of the time spent doing something, you get these wonderful artisanal goods. You get, leather that's been worked. You get, the meals are just outrageously good. But factory goods, factories are always time sensitive. And I'm not sure Italians are time sensitive in the same way.
According to statistics from 2010, the public debt in Italy is 18.1% of the GDP. But since then, the GDP has decreased, so now that percent is much larger. Since the leadership of Mario Monti, Italian officials have been cracking down on tax evaders. One way they are doing this is pulling over luxury cars such as Ferraris and Lamborghinis and asking for their tax registration ID. ABC News states that the targeting is part of an ongoing war with tax cheats, an attempt to shore up $2.5 trillion of the country's public debt and change a culture that has often prided itself on avoiding taxes. Since the start of this newfound method of catching tax cheats, more than $12 billion has been found in unpaid taxes with more than 2,000 luxury cars.
Money was so cheap to borrow. That a number of these countries, Italy, Ireland, Greece, expanded in different ways. These two guys, their government spending, increased dramatically. They just gave terrific, and the same with these guys, same with the Greeks. That's why the Greeks are so ticked off right now. They increased government spending to such a terrific degree. The salaries for government employees shot up, and it was brilliant for staying in office if you were a politician. The problem was that once these banks went under and banks in Europe started going under, these countries had to begin shrinking their budgets because they had to address their own financial issues. They couldn't get credit from banks in the US and banks in Europe anymore, the European Central Bank, because people began to take a look at Italy and Greece and Ireland and say, how are you going to pay back your debt? Once 2008 hit and there was a worldwide recession, tax revenues went in the tank. So now tax revenues are in the tank, which means that Italy, Ireland, and Greece have less money from taxes to spend on all these new jobs they created and new benefits they gave. And people realize that these guys are hosers that spent way beyond their means. And so now they're going to make them, they're going to jack up the interest rates on loans. So so they can still get credit. Well, the credit for these three countries skyrocketed. So now they're screwed. So now they're sitting back saying, all right, it costs too much money to take out loans. So we're going to have to do the only thing we can do. We're going to have to start cutting spending.
Austerity is the use of strict restrictions and regulations on an economy. This idea of austerity is being enforced all around Europe today. Budget cutting and lowering spending, as well as an increase in taxes, are significant elements in the policy of austerity. Austerity leads to low budgets, which leads to an increase in overall unemployment, which leads to a recession in the economy.
When austerity kicks in, budgets, state budgets decrease, and unemployment goes in which direction?
Up.
Yeah. And not only that, you're still in this recession.
The economy can affect politics greatly. Currently in the United States, the presidential election is going on, and the European economy will have a great effect on it. If its economy continues to worsen and carry over into the Americas, then President Obama will most likely be blamed for this occurrence, and the public will want new leadership, therefore allowing the Republican candidate to come out victorious. If the European economy does well, President Obama may be credited with a success, and the public will celebrate his success by re-electing him president. Now in Italy, Prime Minister Monti is participating in new austerity reforms. It is called the Save Italy Package. The New York Times describes it as a radical and ambitious package of spending cuts and tax increases. It is meant to combat tax evasion, step up economic growth so that the country can eliminate its budget deficit by 2013. The future for Italy does not look too bright. With Greece so close to leaving the Eurozone, it seems intriguing to say that if Greece falls, Ireland, Spain, and Italy are quick to follow. With Italy separated from the Eurozone, they will have their own currency, therefore no longer tied to the rest of the European economy. They will be able to make their own monetary decisions, which will benefit the country overall. We predict that the value of their money will decrease initially, but once they get back on their feet, the economy will gradually begin to improve again.